Chapter 66. Hey, beauty! Diamond was shouting and shouting behind Dominic's back when she came that evening in the hotel. It was different than usually. Now, that building had something more charismatic than when they arrived in it. Dominic. Now Diamond's call was hysteric. She turned to him. I'm sorry. I'm so tired to stay with you. See you tomorrow. She quickly ran up the stairs, and everything what said was true, but only a part that was across what silent has been a picture in the study room. How and when she would told something like that was a matter of destiny. Maybe never, which in that moment, under those circumstances, would be the best if never happened. Dominic wished so. What is the matter with you? Diamond was right behind her when she pushed the key in the lock of the door that belonged to her room. You scared me. She didn't lie. I was calling you, didn't you hear? He was nice and has smile on the face, and Dominic loved it. But the charm with he wired around in that moment, Dominic felt as a dangerous influence. Sorry, I was in my thoughts. She turned and wanted to ignore his presence. Wait, it was order, but he said through the whisper, Listen, Diamond. Dominic closed her eyes and moved a head into his direction. His face was innocent, and she couldn't believe how someone as he looked like was able to have two faces. She didn't know how and what to felt. She didn't know what to thought. I don't have time now, Diamond. It is very important to do some things more than to have empty talk with you. Sorry. She didn't allow him a time to say anything. Instead of that, she, faster than expected, was inside in her room and only then felt sure. Slowly took a deep breath and looked back behind and carefully listened. Were there any sounds or movement in front? The only sound was silent. Only then she became relief. It was the time for any discuss with her friend. Maybe she would ask him in the future, but now it wasn't a moment. It wasn't right. She didn't allow herself to expect anything more because he didn't give any promise and she wanted something that didn't ask. I'm tired, very tired, she said for herself or for the walls. But her energy was on the last level. It is not on me to make judgments. She continued to speak with herself. But I'm trying to find some kind of explanation to everyone who did mistakes. No one deserved bad. It must be some kind of reason for everything. I don't understand. Only an evil person could be made by hate. The other's happenings could be only a conscience or coincidence of destiny. It should be like that. She felt weak and tired. Where does and where does my life go on? She looked at herself in the mirror on the door and decided that the best thing for her was to forget everything and start from the beginning with more optimism. You are not the only one. It was last what said before went to change and prepare herself for the most important part of Professor's story. She hoped that something like that would be the end too. "Oh, my friend," said man with red face because of strong winter. "I'm surprised to see you here." That was first what young writer said. In those times, it was very important to explain every feeling with honesty. "We have to go to visit some people together." He showed with a head on a woman who stood in the corner of kitchen. "If you want, you could come with us." It was something what in other case, in those times, would be the last what the young man could accept it. But after the provocation from last day, he decided to follow every step by those people. He didn't trust anyone. "With pleasure, however, I don't have anything clever to do. I would be happy to get some work." The man who stood across him stood up. "So, are you ready?" he asked a woman behind his back. She didn't say anything but nodded with positive answer. "Shall we?" He turned and put a hat, which kept in the hand whole time. "We will go to visit that girl and our friend from America. I hope that no one will follow us." "Are you sure that no one knows nothing?" The woman locked the door. "I'm sure for now." She didn't sound very confirmed, but there was some kind of note that was widening self-sureness. Three of them, as shadows, were moving through the light evening's color. When they got in front of the door of hotel, young writer realized that they would visited someone who woman that had been followed by him the day before came to saw. So the secret very fast found the bright side. When will this war stop? I'm trying to move, but I'm tired of being afraid and of hiding. Woman was trying to read of a show on her boots with jumping on the doorstep. It was more her way to read of negative thoughts instead of snow. Soon, soon we will start our business and manufacture, and you could start to think about lovely silk dresses and modern civility make-up and perfumes. You'll be the most beautiful woman, the tall, and until just a few moments before, rough person turned into a very gentle man. Thank you. Woman sat short, but on the way how she did it, everyone could recognize that she didn't believe in such a sweetness of words. In the half-lighted hall of old, very damaged house, two girls in very old-fashioned clothes were whispering in between. Something happened, said the woman with a low voice. Never mind, we have to do our job. I have to see that girl. The tall man answered, but the woman wanted to give complaint, but he didn't listen her anymore. With long steps started to walk in the direction of stairs, but he stopped. The other two looked up. People in white were helping a young girl to slowly step down the stairs. When they were next to the tall man, he succeeded to ask, "What is wrong?" The one of the doctors turned and with movements asked, "We don't know. I hope that she didn't lose a child," and left a three people to stood in shock behind them. She was pregnant. First collected a power to set something the great revolutionists. I didn't know. She didn't say anything. Woman was confused. Confused. I hope that you didn't do something what could put her in that condition. That fatal woman really was like that. The young bride hasn't been a first one who noted such a thing. I didn't know. I only told her. She started. But everything was what would be the explanation could make disgusted feelings. You, the tall man, was more than angry. He raised his hand as wanted to push or hit her, but after of a few moments with it in the air, he gave up. "You are not useful," said, and next moment left the house. "Oleg, what are you doing here?" Dominic was surprised to saw her friend in the hall of the building where Professor lived. "I followed you." He started to laugh. "Why are you so scared?" "I came to visit a woman who took care about me as my own grandmother." He took her cold hand. "She's living here." Now Dominic was more afraid. "Yes, on the second floor." Oleg explained normal. Dominic felt how whole building was circling around. She wanted to fall, but Oleg took her under a hand. "What is wrong? Are you all right? It is better to came back with you and you need a glass of water." Dominic didn't have time to say no. When she recovered first, what her clear view had met was the view of a woman about who she's been heard a lot in last days. "Are you feeling good?" she asked, but it didn't show with any sign that two of them met before. "I'm sorry to make a trouble." Dominic didn't know what else to say, and she felt that way. She felt really sorry because destiny brought her on that place. "It is all right. I used to sick persons, especially young women." Dominic looked at her. Did she knew anything about her talk with Professor? Did he tell her anything? But how could he when there wasn't a time for such a thing? Dominic decided to keep her mouth shut. Maybe Oleg could explain everything later. With those thoughts, she took a bit of lemonade which elegant woman gave her and enjoyed in it something started to open. The truth was close. She could felt it in it in the air, or that was only her imagination and hope. Chapter 67. Grandad, the old man with the very magnificent and old-fashioned but elegant style, was walking on a few meters away from Dominic, with his hands on the back and deep, maybe worried thoughts. He turned in the direction where voice came from. Dominic, I wonder where you are. His face had a nice and lovely smile, as every time when he saw his granddaughter. I had so many things to do. Are you feeling good? She didn't like that pale face by him. Oh, don't worry, I'll be good. This changing of weather is not always pleasant. He looks around and once saw a chair in the corner, went to try it, found some rest and nice thoughts. So, how was your work? He, with lots of care, looked at Dominic. Very hard, but I learned something after all. She sat next to him. It is very dramatic. It was very dramatic. The story is not finished yet, but our lead will be great as a history for future. What did you do? She didn't ask him the real reason of his visit except that he has been there because of her protection. But he had something else. Whole time he spent somewhere and she didn't know where. Ah, I will tell you a little secret. My friend is looking for someone that he lost a long time ago, and that is believe it or not his unique son. Dominic was shocked. He, I mean, son lives here. He came back to look after him. She couldn't hide her surprise. Unfortunately, yes, our ideology sometimes is more important than any family. Dominic heard that. She remembered a story by the old professor and his talk with a man who used to be some of the leaders of revolution. Yes, I know, but how it happened that his son is here now? She didn't want to sound paranoid, but that was her feeling in that moment. Destiny does not. Choice, said short her grandfather. I think that he is very close to him. Dominic looked around and acted as she had something to hide. Asked, how much do you trust your friend? She expected that those kind of questions could insult her granddad. I don't know anything anymore, he answered on a way that she has never heard before. So may changed my opinion in a way that is so fast and I can't get used to it. Even if everything was magnificent, I'm not ready to accept anything. I need time for my soul to prepare on every situation and I didn't have any. She was on a corner of tears. That means how you are the very good person because others people life and their story do not touch everyone. Her grandfather held her as she was a little girl. Listen to me, my dear child. If you want to survive this, you only what have to do is to watch carefully and remember as a good book or a good film. That is it. Nothing less, nothing more. She raised her look and opened her mouth. How the others could be so cold and so calm. Why my emotions are over control. Pain is so huge. She had right, but she couldn't did anything against herself. You are not like that others. You have to remember that. That man who was her favorite person in the whole world always had right word on the right place and time. She wished that one day she would become a granddaughter of her grandfather, and as wise as he was. 68. Chapter 68. The hospital hall was full of beds with people who were making sounds because of pains that they had to suffer. It must be here. The tall man saw a room with something what young writer didn't understand. His knowledge of new country language was absolutely strange to him. He tried, but it was hard to remember. Yes, this is it. The man who was his friend stepped inside the room. Then his woman and on the end their guest. Room was white but clean. The only bed which was inside belonged to a young girl with very pale face as she lost a lot of blood. For the first moment every one of them thought that she wasn't alive. But voice behind changed that. She's very tired. You have to leave, please. It was a young nurse with a very beautiful look. She spoke slow, so young writer understood her too. May we know what happened with the baby? The woman, with fear in her voice, asked when nurse turned. Yes, baby is alive. It is a girl. Then she left. The young professor turned and, as was on his face, the other two had also smiled, weak and tired, but it was a smile. That girl was my mother, explained Oleg after a moment of silence on the roof, as the same one where his grandmother had been for whole time after her family disappeared. So the woman who I did met here knew everything. Actually, she was a part of it. And she recorded everything when I started with my visits to Professor. Now Dominic felt a little bit relief. You told her that? She looked on Oleg with deep, strong power in her eyes. I had to. Here is no style and not still time to trust anyone, especially to strange people. She knew a lot, and Professor was her friend. I didn't want her to be disturbed now in her age. She is old now. His explanation had a sense, but Dominic's thoughts were proven. How that lady was very important, and there still could be something which she would made as dangerous. She was curled. She didn't care. Why should anyone care for her? Asked with sureness. You have to understand, she took good care about my grandmother and mother, and I'm very grateful to her. Oleg's honest emotions made Dominic softer. Okay, but I ask you to talk with her and if it is possible to find out something. Oleg carefully listened suggestion by his friend. Where were you? Dominic was scared to hear the voice inside of the room. Did I close the door? I think I did. It was her reaction, but she didn't do the same in that moment. Yes, the door were closed, answered Diamond with an arrogant manner. He was angry because she did dare to ask him such a question. How did you open them? She suggested, but wanted to hear such a thing from him. I have my sources. It was a cold answer. If you have such a powerful sources, use them to put everything on the same place as I left this room. She sounded to herself as a part of some kind of act. I'm not going to do that. How him. Dominic never saw him like that. Oleg told me that he would speak with you. So did he. Dominic wondered, could any secret stood as that way? Yes, why? She didn't want to hide anything. If anyone kept something what she wanted, and he told you how that woman was his grandmother, mean the woman who has been hiding on the roof. Dominic now started to become interested in what Diamond had on his mind. Something like that. The young man with elegant moves across the room and closed the door. He's lying. He wants to protect someone, and I think that it is me. That woman from a roof was my grandmother, and this is my home. Actually, it used to be the home of my family. The Oleg's grandmother is a woman from our old professor's neighborhood. Dominic sat on a chair in front of the small table for makeup. So, I don't want to keep any truth as dark side from you. He looked at her as wanted to show reaction. But why? Why he wanted to protect you? Is there a reason for such a thing? She had to ask something even that knew how only a good friendship could produce a situation like that. It is normal. My family was deported into a concentration somewhere on northeast, and no one knows what really happened with them. My grandmother was about 19 when she got my mother, but all the time she was up there on the roof, and no one except Alex's grandmother didn't know that. When revolution started, she took good care about my granny and her lover. But that woman wanted something more. My granny could be free only if she agreed to give everything to the new leaders. Later, she wanted everything as this house to have been given only to one person, to his son. Her husband found out, and before he had time to did anything, he was murdered. There is suspicion how his own wife betrayed him. So Oleg had been very grateful to my granny, and that is a reason why he wanted to protect me and him from new government. That is the reason why he lied and why he is so kind, but nothing is over yet. I will bring back my property and my family will be found. Dead or alive, the public will hear everything about it, and the details probably you will hear from the old professor. Now I can't tell you anything more. How something happened who was a man with whom my granny had love affair and etc. That is the truth. I'm going now. Do not trust everyone. Think about it. Dominic was left on the place where she was in the moment when Diamond started to his conversation. She was in that position for a long time after he closed the door behind him. He was angry on curiosity, angry on everything what was happening around, and she regretted, even felt self-sorrow of her own self because she needed to have been in this kind of position. She felt so tired, and all that was too much for her experience.